On this episode of the Protege, we discuss the importance of a nurturing campaign for your clients that you have, or prospects rather, inside of your CRM. And the challenge was given to each of the contestants to put together what they would consider to be an effective nurturing campaign. I did not give a ton of instruction to them because I wanted to see what they would come up with. And as I suspected, it was all over the board, but every work product this time was very well thought out. I am so pumped to see that the contestants have progressed at the level that they have through this entire competition. It is going to be very difficult for me to make a decision as to who the 6 are that get to be in the top 6. And in fact, the top 3, because I've already got 3 people in immunity and we only can add 3 more to get to 6. And you're going to see from watching this challenge just how hard my decision is going to be.
Now is where the rubber meets the road. You've done all of this work. You've been handing out marketing flyers. You've gone to a trade show. You've created your phone script. You've created your elevator pitch. And people are starting to reach out, but they're still not quite ready to buy. So you need to nurture the leads. Your next to the last challenge, should you choose to accept it, is you need to create a nurturing email campaign for the leads that are responding to all of your other efforts so far. In this campaign, I want you to outline the body of the emails that are going out. I want to make sure you address the frequency in which they're going out. Talk about your exact strategy around that, and make sure you share the copy of each of the emails that you send. This should not be overly difficult, but I do understand it's a challenge. The good news is this is the next to the last, and the last challenge is going to wrap all of this up together, and 6 of the 12 of you are going to go into the production round. Until next time, kill or be killed.
For the lead nurturing, it's going to be the email copy, which you're basically going to craft your emails and create interest, continually keeping you in front of your network that you've built. And then I think the biggest thing too is what action will that email make them take? I think if you focus on that when you're creating your email copy and what's going to make them click something or contact you or respond. And I think if you focus on that, you'll
it's
get
like some funnel, like I do a funnel so people start like doing things until the end. The one that decide to move forward is the one that is going to click on there and put their information, something like that.
You could do a few things. I mean, so one, staying with like hosting a webinar or having an event that you're going to invite them to, that could be part of this nurturing campaign, because you're adding value through an educational event. And then their action would be signing up for it. Knowing X dates or working around that too, so you could have different cadences. So just using quarters, say Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, businesses are where their renewals are. So you could have different campaigns to them potentially too, because if my renewal date and my insurance buying process is the month of March, and I just renewed April 1, different information might be valuable to me going forward then in January also. So that's something that you could talk on in your frequency and what types of emails people might get.
I'm guessing I should circle back and make it focus on the risk made simple piece that I created, and maybe use that as the forefront. I think he likes if you have a brand of some kind,
Yeah.
and then ways to promote it.
You know,
Yeah,
I think if you look at, I was going to say, I think if you look at his email campaign for Killing Commercial and you mirror that, or not you mirror it, but you use inspiration from it, I would highlight that in the video, because yeah, he likes to hear about people following what he does. So I would not say it. I'd say that I went back to that and used that for inspiration, or whatever you use for it. I would definitely highlight that you used it.
Yeah, and bring that in.
Yep. I like that.
Just a simple mention.
Okay. Yeah. Other than that, I feel good about it. I think this is a good one because it's kind of been on my list of things that I've wanted to sit down and come up with anyway, but I've just not gotten to it yet. And so now this is forcing me to do it. So
one thing that I've heard him say,
there could be a lot of trial and error with it.
Yeah. One thing I've heard him say a lot in these feedback videos is put your calendar link in the email.
Yep. And because I think I have my calendar. I have a Calendly. Do y'all use that? Does everybody use
That's what I use. Yeah.
I have it.
I think that is. Yeah, schedule an appointment, and then our website is on mine. But having that in maybe a more like call to action button, like in a bigger spot that says schedule a meeting. That way they can get to do that.
Yep.
They brought up the idea of putting a video in there, a Loom video, some sort of video. What are your thoughts on that? How short? How long? What do you think?
I love it. GIFs are great. Inserting a GIF, which my example I'm going to show you has a GIF in it. The thing about video is you only have them for 8 seconds or so. So you might want to, if you're going to do this as a sequence, then I would start with a GIF, and maybe even a couple of GIFs that, solidifies the message of the point of wherever you are in the body, in the copy of the email. Then once you might see that they reply to the video, or there's some engagement with the email, if they reply to the email and there's some engagement with the email, then maybe there's a video, but they have to trust you first to spend that extra time before you're asking them to commit a little extra time on something that they may not even buy from you, or that they didn't even open the email. So I would start with a funny GIF, or just a very like an expressive GIF to punctuate the point of whatever you're doing. Yeah.
Through an email campaign, you're going to go from being a stranger to potentially a friend, but also to where they're going to be your client and you're going to get to take care of them, because that's the ultimate goal.
It's funny, but all along, I've been using lead nurturing as a part of my ISD strategy, which is comprised of internet, social, and direct. It's centered around my own personalized style of inbound marketing, which combines humor with something of value over a direct sales pitch.
My lead nurturing campaign for my ideal client starts with LinkedIn. If they're on LinkedIn, I send them a short message and an invitation to connect.
Easily duplicatable for light manufacturing or property owners. I have to, of course, change some of the links.
For Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok will be a direct message to them where I welcome them and let them know that they will find value information on my channel.
As I've mentioned in previous challenges, I am looking to be seen as a gatekeeper of resources. I want the prospects and, of course, my clients to view me as someone that has a lot of resources and is connecting them to those resources.
I'm certainly going to share with you the specific copy I'm using, but I'm going to rely fairly heavily on video. I really believe video can convey a lot more than just the just copy. So what I'm sharing with you here is kind of the first email nurturing campaign that I'll be doing in terms of after I meet a client or meet a prospect and follow up with them. And then here's an actual screenshot of the email so you can see what that'll look like. I'll be attaching here the contractor guard flyer that'll give them information about the program, the video here, and then we'll have our link here at the bottom, which will allow them to connect with me and schedule an appointment. The second video, in terms of follow-up, will be 2 to 3 days after the initial message. And the goal here is just keep in front of them. And again, I think you probably know this, but great tool with BombBomb. You can track and measure how often people are looking at your videos, if they're clicking links in the email, and most importantly, if they actually played the video. This is an example of a message I sent a couple days ago to a prospect wishing that they'd have a most excellent Easter holiday. So I could see that they played the video, and obviously they opened the message to play the video. Another tool I'll be using is eRelationship. You may be familiar with that tool. This is a screenshot of the categories and how I'm breaking up my prospects. And again, this is kind of a snapshot of when I'm ready to send an email campaign out. I just simply check on these boxes on which group I want to send a message out to. I'm building out a calendar, and actually I've built out a calendar. This shows essentially every month I'll be sending a message out, including birthdays, holidays, and so I can keep in front of my prospects as well as my clients. Here I'll be able to actually measure the results in terms of what's happened. This is a real-world snapshot of what's happened over the last 3 months. Since I've started the agency, I've sent essentially 29 different campaigns out. This shows how many emails have been sent out, clicks on the emails. Again, great intel here to be able to kind of measure the effectiveness of the email marketing.
I always expect you to do something different, so that wasn't a surprise to me. The one question I had that you didn't clarify for me that would cause me to have some concern is, are you doing an individual video for everybody, which is typically how BombBomb works? Or are you doing sort of a generic video and then creating the campaigns to push that stuff out? I think that the second is the better way to do it. I understand that the value in BombBomb is personalization, and that is certainly right in line with extra 2 minutes. Everything I agree 100% with doing that, but I don't think it's manageable from a nurturing standpoint. If you have a CRM that's got 10,000 people in there, doing BombBomb videos that are specific to each one of them just is never going to happen. So I would be interested in some clarification there. Shoot me an email and just let me know your thoughts. But all the rest being said, I do love the idea of using BombBomb. Obviously, I love the product. My friend Darren Dawson's the CEO and the guy that founded it, so we're always going to support them. But what I really liked about it is if you look at the way the email was laid out with your video in there, and then see that you have the resources below, some people, I think you're going to find 50-50 on this. I think half the people are going to tell you how awesome it is. The other people are going to tell you need some email copy. I'm one of the people that's going to tell you, I think the video in there with your resources is enough. because it actually allows people to see the stuff that they're never going to look at when you have an email written and all of that is down below your signature. So I'm really interested to see how many click-throughs you get, not just on the video, but on all of the other stuff. I appreciate that you took the time to go through the automation piece and how you were going to build all of that out. That's something that a lot of your competitors didn't do, but I've become accustomed to you doing a lot of things that your competitors aren't doing. So overall, really well done on the challenge. The one thing I do have a concern about is how you're going to use BombBomb specifically, and it may be that I just missed something somewhere in that process. So shoot me a message and let me know. But overall, really good job, man. This definitely will fly in the real world.
So in every single one of these of my sequence, I have a day, an objective, a subject, a body, and a CTA, my calls to action. Something I learned from one of the earlier challenges with my marketing slick is making sure that I always have a call to action. What's the point of getting an email? There's no call to action. So first thing we have is day one. Immediately after somebody requests to download the Blue Collar Blueprint PDF from my webpage or any other place that they could download it. So here's the first thing. I want to deliver what they came for. So the subject is, did somebody order the Blue Collar Blueprint? Hey, first name, you've probably downloaded the Blue Collar Blueprint for one of three reasons. You're really good at your trade, but you've got too much on your plate. Running a business is hard, and you're looking for ways to maximize your time and money. And you've already had a process, you want to improve it, see how it stacks up to the competition. The next two pieces are me showing off that we have a in-industry niche podcast called the Blue Collar Blueprint Podcast that goes directly to them with a hyperlink to the most recent episode that we have that has the president of the Indiana Builders Association as the very first guest. And then after that, I have a PS that says, hey, if you want to be on this podcast, you could actually use this hyperlink to become and go straight to my Calendly to book a podcast recording. So my calls to action are the podcast link and the podcast recording link. That's day one. Day three, problem solution. We're going to show them that there is a problem, obviously, and then that we're the solution.
I have definitely been hard on you at times during this season, but it's because I know what you're capable of and I want to push you to get to that. And part of that is getting outside your comfort zone, which is what you said multiple times on your submission. You're 100% correct. What you've put together will play in the real world. And I hope to God that you've already got this thing implemented, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with what you've put together. It's going to do nothing but breed revenue opportunity for you. You have improved incrementally, challenge after challenge after challenge. And I can tell you, man, last season and this season both, there has not been one single person that has knocked every single challenge out of the park. Not once. And you know that because there's been a couple where I've hammered you a little bit. The one thing I would tell you is a piece of constructive criticism is if you're having a problem with wording and being wordy, I recommend that you use the Hemingway editor. It's the same thing that I recommended to Ryan Smith. If you have the Hemingway editor, it will take long, complex sentences that you write and you paste your whole document in there, and it's going to show you how to break those down into more easily digestible bites. So that would be the one thing I would tell you to include in the grand scheme of things if you need help with that. But overall, really, really good job, man. You know, I'm really proud of you. You know, you have every ounce of potential to win the whole thing. And I know that you have the drive to win the whole thing. And I also know that you have the smack talk game to win the whole thing and let everybody know about it. So kudos to you, my friend. Great job. And I look forward to seeing you reap the results of your labor in the production round.
The first start off is going to be the web form hook. This is going to be a standard drip campaign that is going to be triggered based off of if that specific person, or when that specific client or person gets onto the education center and downloads a piece of content, training resource, mod audit, any type of documents or any resources, videos, webinars. In order for them to view those or get access to those, they have to fill out a web form. For follow-up, to give you some setting, I have just dropped off the marketing slick or the marketing flyer at the business. And after that, I go into a 7-day strategy followed up by after day 21. If they do work based off of the activity from the marketing slick or the follow-up email. So day 1, I drop the marketing slick off in the morning. The same day, follow-up emails going out. And it's going to be templated just like the one that you see on the right-hand side. My cold email, this is going to be a 60-day, week 1. This is going to be just an email that's tailored specifically towards a client. A lot of this reflects the follow-up email, just a change of wording. Instead of me leaving the drop off, what I've done instead is I'm kickstarting the conversation, and my first email is going to be making them aware of this. I'm also at some point through this process going to be picking up the phone and calling them. Same thing, call 3 consecutive days. Did you receive my email? Did you receive the slick? Are you aware of this? Let's take action. We'll include the marketing slick, scare tactic video embedded in here. Same thing. It'll show, there's a quick video for about 1 minute and 2 seconds. It's going to explain what being in the bottom 15% is, and how your experience mod, why your experience mod is the leading factor of your workers' compensation premium. If it's opened, follow up with a phone call. And then, like I said, if it's open, they don't answer the first phone call, go and call again, and then putting them into that same strategy as I did in the follow-up email.
The only thing, like, I really don't have any kind of feedback to give you. You were very, very thorough in your approach. I appreciate that. This is going to play very, very well for you in the real world. I like how you were constantly using the sort of keeping up with the Joneses technique to show them what other people were doing, so that hopefully it would bait them into clicking to take the next step. So well done there. If I were looking for anything at all to be critical about or give you feedback on, I would tell you that I feel like the thumbnail for your video is too busy. I don't think you need to have all of that stuff in there to gain their attention and get them to click it. I think that you're setting yourself up to possibly have spam issues for having all of those graphics in the email. What I would do, and it would be interesting for you to do A/B testing. That's probably what I would do too, is to use what you've got and then maybe try what I'm recommending as well. But I would have an animated GIF of you waving or something like that, almost like what happens natively inside of BombBomb. But the studies have shown that if you have some level of animation in the GIF that's in the email, just embed that in the email with the link attached to it, that more people are likely to click through that. So that would be the one thing that I would tell you. But otherwise, really, really good job, man. I don't even care about the Protege. I'm excited to see how this works for you in real life, because honestly, you should deploy this immediately. Well done.
So I have decided to go with a service that is going to integrate with Google Analytics. The point is, I want to know when the emails are being opened, if I can get down to a granular level of what time they're being open, do some A/B testing, and ultimately do some segmentation, so I know who is a hot prospect, who's kind of lukewarm, who's just not even interested. That's the goal. So when I get down to prospecting and calling on new clients, I'm going to hit the ones that are the hottest first. So each of these, I created a pen and paper. I sat down with it and just made a list of what topics I wanted to cover, what my subject line was going to be, the call to action, the type of message it was going to be, whether it was going to be a video, print, where I was driving them, and then the goal of each message. So wrote that down, set out, and then started sketching out just on paper what I wanted that to look like. And my goal was to approach different learning styles, whether it was visual, oral, audio, PDF with visual, tactical, the kinesthetic. There's one where I offer them, if they'll complete a quiz, I will send a church secured hat to them. So with that, let me show you what I've got. Here is my journey builder. And in the end, you'll see after the emails are sent, we break down to hot, lukewarm, and just not even interested right now. I'm missing the mark on something. So in between emails, we've got initial, as soon as they're imported, they're going to get an email from us. And then it's going to start hitting every 2 weeks on a Monday. And the goal is Monday motivation. A lot of church leaders take Mondays off. So I catch them in a relaxed state. And my goal is to get information in their hands when they actually have time to think about it. They're also getting sent early in the morning. That's something I'm going to test different times. But my initial thought is I want it early in the morning when they wake up on their day off. And they're, even if they're still laying in bed and they're checking their email like I do, that they see something that's going to be beneficial to them and not just salesy. So the first one is just a survey. Is your church a safe place? Answer our 9 questions on church safety. And I chose 9 just because it was an odd number. I want to create intrigue and interest. They take the survey, and at the end, if they want, they can fill out their contact information, and I will send them a church-secured hat, a trucker hat with a leather logo that says church secured on it. And again, just trying to get some interaction. So that goes out immediately when they are added to our drip campaign.
You need to feel good about what you put forth this week. There's some things that I probably would tweak a little bit if I were you. I think that cramming that many emails into that short of a time frame is probably a little faster cadence than what I would like to see. I typically stick around to like once a month. And the reason being is I view the drip campaign as passive. It's something that's working in the background when I'm not. So rather than me have these people get emails from me every week for like 2.5 months, I'd rather them get, or every other week for 2.5 months or whatever, I'd rather them get one a month for the entire year. And then I can augment the in-between with telephone calls or being in person or whatever. But all that to say, do it how you want. If you think that the 2.5 months is how you want to try it that way first. You had a really well thought out process that you put in place. I can't tell you enough how good it was. You also had really strong calls to action. I like the fact they were very well defined, but you also mixed it up a little bit. It wasn't just the same thing over and over again. I think the one thing I would definitely say you should do 100% is you should include a call to action for book an appointment in every email. It doesn't need to be in a prominent place, but you may have people ready to book with you right out of the box. And I want to see you have that in every single email because here's what I know. If you don't have it in there, there's 100% chance nobody's going to click it to book. If you put it in there, is it really doing any damage? And I don't think that it is. I think that it just lets people know there's an opportunity there for them to book time with you if they're interested, and they may be ready to go now, and you're making them wait until down the road before you put that out there. So that would be the one piece of constructive criticism I gave you. By far, hands down, the most well thought out and best presented challenge that you have done to date. And regardless of what happens in the competition, this will serve you well. It'll maybe require a couple of minor tweaks here and there as you learn from it, but you've already acknowledged that by doing A/B testing and everything else. Really, really, really good job, Andy. And you should be proud of your work product this week for sure.
So what I'm trying to do in my campaign is to have every month or two a direct personal email geared towards another appointment, sales, trying to move that process forward, or a more personal email giving them content. But that's not the type of thing that I received from David in the campaign for nurturing killing commercial leads. What I see is content branded emails. And so that's my focus in this challenge is content branded emails surrounding workshops and webinars. I like the term workshops better. And then also educational content, and I'll explain that more later. So the overall effect is my prospects are hearing from me every couple of weeks, but it's not necessarily personal emails coming from my Gmail. That's more every month or two. They're receiving every week or 2 weeks a branded email through MailChimp. Here's where I get to the branded emails from MailChimp, specifically surrounding my webinars or workshops. So there's page 1. There's page 2, And I noticed I have a call to action. I made a landing page specifically for the webinar with the video of myself here introducing it. After booking, they're going to receive a series of emails, and I'm trying to reach out and build a relationship with them and not just send a calendar link. And so here I'm asking, what are the issues your agency has, and how can I address this more in the webinar or the workshop, because they're supposed to be more interactive. The day after or the week, 3 days after, I'm going to ask them what topics they'd like for us to cover in the future. Continually, I'm going to be sending them my Calendly link, because the goal is to sit down with 15 minutes, whether it came from a sales meeting or whether we're talking about the next webinar. I want 15 minutes on Zoom with this prospect. So that's my goal here. And then every 2 months or so, I'm going to be doing a webinar. So there's always another webinar to market to any new prospects coming into the campaign. But there's also a new webinar to bring to the attention of those who were previous attendees. And I can also ask them continually, what's your ideas? What's your ideas? And by asking for their ideas on the next webinar, I know what their pain points are when I come at it from a more direct sales email, because they told me that business email compromise was a concern, for example. And then finally, huge portion of this, I'm running out of time, but is a bi-weekly tip, info, blog, educational, relevant for both clients and prospects. So I'm going to use my YouTube videos, content that I'm creating, and just send those out every week or two, but also brand our Firm Secured Academy, which is a on-demand library for brokers to assign videos to their agents. We're going to provide it to prospects for a limited time and sit down in a Zoom meeting and say, we're going to give this to you for 6 months. This is what we give to our clients. We're going to give it to you to show you that we're serious about risk management. At the end of that 6 months, it doesn't work out, we'll talk. But that's my goal here, is to try to show them what we do for our clients over the course of a year.
You did a really, really good job on this challenge. Well thought out, well articulated, very detailed. The roadmap makes perfect sense. I like the strategy. I love the way you used my own cadence against me, so it'd be difficult for me to criticize that. The one thing I would tell you is we're actually doing something similar to what you're talking about doing with your learning management system or your video center, whatever you've branded that as. I think 6 months is too long to give it away for free. I'd give it to them for 90 days and not a day more than that. I think at 6 months, you run the risk of them just forgetting about it, to be honest with you. I would give it to them, and I would actually have a drip campaign set up around that too, just to remind them, hey, have you done your training yet? Have you watched your videos yet? Whatever else. But I think 6 months is just a hair too long for that piece. But listen, man, really, really good work product this week. The boys in Tennessee came to play in Challenge 7. You and Andy both did a really nice job, man. I'm proud of what you put together here. Well done.
Coming at you from the False River in Louisiana, which sounds like a random spot, but look it up. It's actually pretty cool. Spent some time out on the water today. It's no Key West, David, but it's still just as great. But email nurture campaign, thanks for the challenge. It's been something I've wanted to do for a while. I'm glad I got to dive into it. And so it's really got two goals for me. One is to stay in front of a client and not be forgotten. And the other one is to offer enough value where that when the time comes that they're ready to buy or they're ready to move into that buying window, that my name is familiar and I'm at the top of their inbox, or at least in there for them to reach out to me. But with that in mind, I kind of have a weekly sequence that is it's a mix of different types of emails. So kind of starting the sequence would be like a welcome email, and then you'll see that they're either going to be educational, informative, personalized to talk about kind of our team or to give them a little more, be a little more familiar with me. And the last one is to offer them something that maybe would get us further into the door. And I kind of break those down in my PDF that I sent over. But again, the goal is for them, even if they delete the emails, to at least see my name, company in their inbox with a good subject line. And maybe they delete it, maybe they put it in a file, but at least they know when the time comes for insurance
that they come back to me. The other thing, while they'll get a weekly email every Tuesday from me on one of those topics, the other thing that they'll get is every Thursday, I will talk about a webinar that I'm doing, and I'll do one a quarter per niche, kind of taking your advice and then using it to my advantage here, in that I've got 3 niches. And so in a sense, I'll be doing a webinar every month, but to each niche, it'll appear that I'm doing one every quarter. And so every Thursday, just like you do with your killing commercial, the sales ones that you're doing, and you promote those, they'll get that every Thursday, talking about, hey, this is coming up, register for that, take action, register. It'll send them to a landing page where they can do that. Or it'll just continue to give them highlights about what that webinar is going to be if they've signed up for it. And then that content for each webinar, I can take and repurpose it for the weekly emails. I could break it up into clips and other things like that, and use it for the weekly content. So it's got a dual purpose there, but just taking your advice on that and finding a way to plug that in. Of course, those emails will be littered with blog posts and clips from a YouTube channel, those webinars, other things that will give them a snippet, like a snippet of it. And then they can take that, it'll direct them to the landing page, use the email to get them to our site. And then once they're there, they can navigate that. But all of it kind of piques their curiosity and then gets them where we want them to go. And then again, just staying constant and in their inbox all the time and top of mind.
I like the way you thought it through. You went way above and beyond what the email challenge was. You've built it into webinars and other things in a sick and twisted way. It's exactly how my mind works. So it all made perfect sense to me. I can see exactly what you're trying to do. Really don't have much to offer in terms of advice with email campaigns. It's kind of one of those things where you got to let it fly, and then you go back and tweak it as needed to make the changes necessary. But I don't see why this won't work. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me why it wouldn't work. So may have a few minor tweaks there that you need to mess with, but overall, really, really good job. Well thought out, well presented. And I'll check out the place in Louisiana. Never heard of it before. As you can see, we have created a bunch of monsters. These people are absolute animals. I couldn't be prouder of this group than what I am. Everybody put a lot of time and energy into putting this together. Their work product was absolutely fantastic. I have zero complaints about anything that I have seen. Holy cow. The real winners in all of this are those of you that are watching this, because you're not doing any of the work. And these people are handing you absolute gold every single week. And if you're paying attention, you can put together these processes one right after the other and implement them for your own agency or your own book of business almost immediately. This is Challenge 7. Next episode is Challenge 8, and it is the last challenge. While part of me will be glad that the rat race is over, part of me is going to be sad because I've really enjoyed getting to know everybody this year, and I really hope that they can take this mousetrap and make a difference in their careers and their agencies for the rest of their careers. Everybody else, till next time, it's kill or be killed. Next week on the Protege.
We put in the work. We're down to the last challenge.
Just been such a journey.
You told me what was good, and you told me where I needed to step up.
I think I'm going to miss this.
See you.